Welcome back, painting friends. Today we're going to paint a spring birdhouse with a bunch of flowers. Colors you're going to use, well, every color, okay? I've got red, orange, yellow, green. I've got two blues. I've got a dark blue and a light blue, brown, purple, black, and white. Don't forget to have your 4 brushes. These are my favorite 4 brushes. My 1-inch flat brush, my 10-6, and 1 round brush, and a water and a rag for keeping those brushes clean. First thing we're going to do is we are going to add our sky color behind where our birdhouse is going to go. So I'm just going to take white paint at an angle. So just going down at an angle. I'm going to put quite a bit of white paint on here, and then I'm going to let my light blue color start to mix in. I do want my lines to go this angled line. So as I do this, I'm just going to kind of make sure that I see some of the white, some of the blue, and fill in this whole space. Now you're going to notice I didn't quite paint the whole bottom. It's all going to be green, so it's not a big deal. I'm going to wipe my brush off, wash it off, and set it aside. When my picture is dry, we're going to come back in and fill in the birdhouse and flowers. Let's go ahead and get our birdhouse in here, and then we'll fill it up with our flowers. Now I want my birdhouse to be a little bit of a lighter brown, so I'm going to start with white paint. You can make your birdhouse any shape you want. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by making a straight line across and then bringing the sides down just a little bit. And then adding the bottom in there. And then I'm going to add the triangle on the top for the roof line. And this entire space I'm going to paint in with white and then with brown. Like I said, I want it to be a lighter brown color. Now with it still a little bit wet, I'm going to take some brown on my number 10 round brush and just make some lines in here. My brush is barely touching my canvas. I can wipe that brush off. I can go back in with some white and some brown again and kind of pull some of these lines down. I'm going to start to give it the look of wood grain. Then I can add a little bit more. Wipe that brush off. I'm going to pull those lines up and down also. And then now I'm going to add just a little bit of black, so almost no black, but a couple little spots of black on here. Wipe that brush off and then pull those lines down as well. Go ahead and wash that brush off really good. I'm going to grab now just black paint, and I'm going to make the circle for my little door, my entryway to my birdhouse. If you could see, I'm adding a little bit more black in, but I'm going to leave this area right to the side a little bit lighter, so it looks like that is the side wall going into it. Okay, we'll come back to that in a little bit. Let's let that rest just a minute. At the roof, I'm going to go ahead and grab some white paint, and I'm going to outline an area just a little bit larger than the roof line with white. Now I'm going to take a little bit of brown and a little bit of green and mix them together on my palette. I'm looking for a little bit of a darker brown color. I'm sorry, a darker green color. And then I am going to make a skinny little line right on the top of this with that light green, or that dark green color. And then just under that birdhouse, I'm going to take a nice big dark brown line and just come right across here. Add a little bit of white in there at the top with some small little lines so that it still looks like that wood grain. So again, still my number 10 round brush, just letting the very tippy top of my paintbrush kind of coast along that. And then I'm going to make the post that comes down from there. So I'm just going to take this brown and paint a little post going straight down. Add some more of that white in there. This is going to be a little bit more dramatic white, so I'm just going to throw some white in there. Wipe my brush off, and then I'm just going to kind of pull those lines together. Wipe that brush off, add a little bit of black in there. First wipe that brush off and then just kind of brush those colors in. Help them look a little bit more like wood grain. All right, let's leave our birdhouse alone for a little bit and let's work on some of these other green areas. So that really nice dark green I made, I'm going to make some more of that, and I'm going to fill in some background green colors. And the reason I want to do that is I want there to look like it's a very deep area of greenery growing. And so I want to have some dark areas in the back. I can make some really big leaves like this to just kind of fill in. I can make some just grasses kind of coming up, but just a couple of really dark areas down here at the base. I can even just kind of go in and just like a little splotch of dark green down here to really give it a good base. So by just kind of putting a little bit of dark green in here randomly, it'll give me a great dark area. When you look at it, you're going to think, oh, that must go back further. All right, now that that dark green is in there, I'm going to wash that number 6 round brush off, set it aside. I'm sorry, that was my number 10. Grab my number 6 round brush, and I'm going to make a little bit more light green. So I can use my plain regular green and I can draw some lines with that, or I can even mix it with like a yellow green. So I am going to have a couple of vines kind of coming up and around my treehouse. So I'm going to grab green and yellow on my brush, and I'm just going to kind of bring some of these green and yellow around. And all I'm really doing is taking my number 6 round brush, and I'm just kind of letting my hand kind of just play. Like, not all of these even need to be connected. Some might be kind of swirly and whirly, and some might not be connected to anything, and that's okay. Wipe that brush off. If I want to make like a blue green, I can always take a little bit of blue and a little bit of green on my brush. Maybe I want to make some vines that are a little bit more blue green. So you can really play with your greens to get all these different types of greens. I think I'm going to make my couple of stems right here for maybe some tulips. I'll make 3 tulips right here. I think in the background I'm going to I've got these really beautiful chrysanthemums that are blooming. I think right back here, I'm just taking brown and a very skinny brush. I'm going to kind of make some wavy lines coming down that I can make some chrysanthemum blooms on. All right, let's let this layer of green dry. When we come back, we will finish up with some flowers and, of course, our birds. With a dry background, it's time to add some flowers into here. All right, so first things first, I'm going to start in the back, my chrysanthemum, and I'm just going to take some white and some yellow paint on here, and I am going to just kind of, that's way too much white, just spaces of like yellow and white all the way down this. Okay, so I'm just taking my number 6 round brush and just kind of dropping areas of color because these are pretty bright. And some of them I've even noticed have a little bit of pink in them. So I can even mix up like a little bit of a pink color if I want. Add some pink in there also. So on these little tall straggly things, I'm just going to do spots of color like this. Now, as far as my vine over here goes, I'm going to do the same type of thing, but I want a light purple color. So I'm going to mix up some purple and some white together. And I'm going to make 1, 2, 3 little spots, and then use the back of my brush and put a dark purple right in the center of it. Now, also over here on the vines, I'm going to take a little bit of that light green color, that yellow and that green, and I'm going to make small little leaves. So just spots that kind of pop off that could be leaves. So I am going to speed myself up to knock out these 2 areas, and then we'll talk about the next step. Love the way this is looking. So I'm going to put, like I said, 3 tulips on here. I'm going to go ahead and make this tulip right here so you can see how we're going to do it. And then we're going to talk about the area down below, what we're going to add in there, and then we'll jump into speed and finish off of all of our flowers. So as far as my tulip goes, I'm going to start with some orange paint. And I am going to make an oval at the top of the stem. So orange paint, number 6 round brush, an oval at the top of that stem. From there, I'm going to make a little curved line that kind of connects in with it on both sides. Now it looks like it's got some ears, right? And then I'm going to take that curved line and kind of bring it down into the tulip. And then back over here, there's going to be one more bump of another leaf. Okay, maybe this one even have like a little point to it. But when we fill these in, tulips have these really long, pretty lines of color that go in them. So I'm going to really focus on taking my brush from the top down to that base by using all of these really pretty lines. And I'm going to use red, white, yellow, and orange, and just kind of bringing these lines down until I get them to where I like them. I do want to make sure that I can see a little bit of a difference between each of the petals. So like I'll make this front one a little bit lighter, maybe some more oranges and, some more whites and some more yellows. And I'll make my dark ones in the back. So I'm going to take more red and put it back here and this one back here. And these side ones, I'm going to stick with some more of that red and white mix. And then right here at the base, I'm just going to kind of take some of that dark green that I made. I'm going to pull that up into the flower and then kind of reconnect it to the base. Perfect. Okay, so now you see how I'm going to make my tulips. Now let's talk about these flowers down here at the base. You can make these any color you want. I'm sticking with kind of like a yellow, pink, and purple theme. So I'm going to take quite a bit of white paint on my finger and a little bit of red, and I'm just going to make some circles down here. And these can really be kind of messy any way you want. Some can be bigger, some can be smaller. I'm going to do this with both the red and white and the pink and white so that I have some really nice colors going on down here. And then after those are finished, what I'll do is I'll take my 6 brown brush and I'll add a darker color right in the center, maybe like a red or even like a purple red mix, okay? And then I'm going to take some of these curved lines and just curve them out and around, show a little bit more definition. So let's make our tulips and all of these circular flowers down at the bottom. All right, my background's dry. Let's first of all work on this little birdhouse right here. Now that it's dry, I'm going to take a little bit of black paint and I am going to really kind of darken up that inside area and kind of clean up that space. There should just be a little bit of that light color left behind. And then the rest of it should be pretty dark. Now, anytime I like to paint with skinny black lines, I do like to water my paint down a little bit. So I just take a little bit of water on my paintbrush, mix it in with the paint on my palette, and I get just a very thin line. And I like that because I can go through and add very skinny detail lines to my pictures. So I'm just going to take a little bit of black and I'm going to make some straight lines that just kind of come down. And these lines are not connected, they're not all the exact same. I'm going to go in up here and outline the bottom of my roof line. Maybe even a small one down here. I'm actually going to add a little bit of black. I'm just taking some black underneath here to have it kind of look like a shadow almost. So I'm just kind of tapping and going right along there to just darken that up. Awesome. Now I'm going to take a little bit of white and highlight some of my tulips. So right at the very tippy tops, I'm just going to add a little bit of white. I'm going to pull that color down a little bit so that it's more prominent than the mixed in white that I had. As I'm doing that, I realize I totally forgot to add in the bottom little connector to my tulips. Always a good idea to go back and check your work to make sure you didn't forget something. There we go. All right, I'm going to add a little bit of lighter green paint to some of these back areas just to give them a small highlight. Those really big tulip leaves right here. Little spots of some brighter, lighter color in here. And then as far as my bird goes, I've been debating putting my bird down here or up here. I think I am going to put my bird up at the top. And I'm going to make it be a blue jay. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of orange and yellow for his belly. So I'm just going to make a small little curved line right here for his belly. Wash that brush off, and I'm going to go in with that dark blue paint. And I'm going to make his wing, and his wing is just going to be a curved line right through here. And then it's just going to kind of curve around the top and reconnect to there. I can go ahead and brush that in with that dark blue color. I'm going to take some white. I'm going to add it in towards the top. And if you notice, I'm using really super small brush strokes. And as you can tell, it's starting to look like feathers. Super small brush strokes. I started with white at the top, and as I'm kind of going down towards the bottom, it is darkening up. I'm going to grab some more of that dark blue paint. I'm going to put an oval head right here. I'm going to take a little bit of that white paint. Remember, I got my number 6 round brush. I'm going to make even smaller little lines at the top of the head, kind of coming down. Now that orange and yellow, I'm going to kind of come in here and connect these and put just a little bit underneath that chin. I'm going to go back in with that dark blue. I'm going to make some dark blue lines coming down this way for the tail feathers. A little bit of that orange just underneath there. The orange will darken it up just a little bit. Wipe that brush off, grab a little bit more of that dark blue. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of white. And at the top of here, I'll add some lines for white. My tail feathers. Remember, I'm not mixing it in. I want to see all those little lines. All right, as far as his little beak goes, I'm going to mix orange and blue together. It's going to give me a really great dark orange color. So orange and blue together. Right there. I'm going to take the back of my brush. This might sound kind of weird because I'm thinking you're going to think it has a wide eye or a black eye, but it does. I'm going to make a big white circle. Wipe the back of that brush off, grab a little bit of black, put a smaller black dot kind of right in the middle. So now that eye is like highlighted. See that? I'm going to take some of that brown paint that I have and just kind of put, a little leg right here, another one right next to it. Have some brown and orange mixed together. I'm going to connect those at the top right there. Add a little bit of white highlight at the top of his beak. And then let's talk about highlights. Okay, so I've got my bird finished. I've got my flowers just about done. I'm going to go in now with some white paint, and I'm just going to add some white highlight to some of these flowers down here at the bottom. Same way I did the dark little lines, I'm just going to add a couple of little white lines to really make those guys pop down here at the bottom. I can even do that to some of these purple ones by just adding a small little line around part of the flower. It's just going to help kind of bring it to life. And I think just a little bit of a dark line right here on this tulip is going to kind of make that pop a little bit. Oh, I was right, it did. I think I might do that with all of them. I'm just taking a dark red and kind of going around the front of these tulip petals just to kind of define them a little bit. Perfect. Well, I think I love it. So you have to remember, when you're finished, find a color that's going to show up well on your canvas and sign your name. Remember that I never get to see what you're painting at home unless you take a picture of it and you post it to my Facebook page, Painting with a Purpose. Make sure that you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Painting with a Purpose, so you're kept up to date on all of my tutorials. And remember, as always, stay kind, stay creative, and stay safe. Have a great day, friends. Bye now.